This is Candace coming to you from my home while I'm in quarantine, as you probably are as well. This is day 500, it seems, of being locked up in our homes, but we're gonna get through it. And to help you get through it, I have conducted a handful of interviews with some of the most talented people that I know in the wrestling industry. It's a video and audio series that I decided to undertake while home, and it's been fantastic so far, talking with people about how the pandemic has affected their personal and professional lives and their thoughts on how it's affected the wrestling industry. But of course, we don't just talk about the pandemic and its effects. We get into a lot of different issues and subjects. I want to introduce you to my next interviewee, Mr. Killian McMurphy, who is a wrestler that I met while working at Capital Wrestling, now known as Catalyst Wrestling. Killian and I pretty much came into the wrestling industry around the same time. We met at Capital at the time, and it has been a wild and fun ride for the both of us. Killian is so talented, and it's been a pleasure watching him progress in the industry, and I know that there is just so much more to come from him. He is certainly itching, as most wrestlers are today, to get back into the ring once the restrictions have been lifted. So without further ado, you will laugh, you will think, I'm so excited to be able to share this with you. This is my interview with Killian McMurphy. Thank you guys for listening in. I have been in contact with different personalities in wrestling, whether it's wrestlers themselves, promoters, gear designers, to talk about how this pandemic that we're in, COVID-19, has affected all of these talented people. Today, I am talking with Killian McMurphy. He is a fantastic wrestler. We met at Capital Wrestling a few years ago, and it's been just great to see his trajectory in the business and with everything that he's doing. So I'm truly grateful to be able to talk with him all the way in Delaware. Hey, Killian.
Yeah, all the way down here. I appreciate that. That was really sweet. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. It's the truth. It's my... But yeah, I mean, we're not that far away. I'm in Pennsylvania, and you seem to be like even further in Delaware.
I'm in Delaware.
Yeah. You're like 6, basically. I assume that that's working out for you okay, not being close to a lot of people given the circumstances and what we're dealing with.
Yeah, we were just talking about it before we started recording, that we down here generally stay 6 feet away from each other anyway. So we didn't really have to change anything about what we were doing.
Yeah. And it seems as though Delaware is one of the states that has very few cases, and we did discuss that a little bit too. I mean, I just keep up with local news. I don't even know if you guys have hit 1,000 yet, much less 500, which is good for Delaware. That's really
I don't think there's that many people in the state, Candace. So
I just don't think Delaware is popping.
It's not. It's really not.
You guys have Rehoboth. At least you have Rehoboth Beach, which is lovely, and the outlets, which we used to go to the outlets a bit when I was a kid with our family to do shopping tax-free. So everyone comes to Delaware.
Yeah. We have me and the Briscoe brothers.
Right? Yes. Thank you for mentioning that, because I don't...
Yeah, I've worked with those guys a lot. Not like formally, but like in a training sense. And they're fantastic guys. I love them. Such good workers too. So talented. They beat the snot. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but they hit really.
Totally.
They beat the shit out of me all the time. It's great.
It sounds like you're cool with it, though. You're like, it's the Briscoe brothers, though.
I love it. I hit them hard, too. It's beautiful. I hope they're doing well.
Reciprocation. Exactly. Me too. Have you talked to them or any other wrestlers in the meantime?
I stay close to my group, my little stable that I have, the boys, the fellas. I talk to them pretty regularly. Nelson Bauer, A.K. Willis, Bad Banks, and Dustin Wilson. Mm-hmm. We stay in contact pretty regularly. They're all seeming to do well. Other than that, I talk to people here and there, but I miss everybody,
Same. And
there's just so many people that you miss. It's not like you can DM everybody.
Exactly. And it's even more elevated now, keeping our distance. We're doing social distancing. The independent wrestling world has pretty much, or wrestling in general, there's just been a hard pause in a lot of ways. It's odd to talk about it now because it's Wrestlemania weekend.
Yeah, it is.
I forgot. I didn't forget about it, but I did. I didn't. It's like it's always been in the back of my mind.
I have no concept of time.
Even though I find myself busier with a lot of different things going on, every day is just a day, and it's just really strange. and apocalyptic in some way to just,
Yes, I'm glad you went there before I did.
One of us is going to. Because
but that's the, I feel like that's the key with everything. It's just to keep yourself busy. And that's awesome that you've been doing that. And
yeah,
I'm glad we were able to do this. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome. It's something I've been wanting to do, my own project for YouTube for quite some time, but the way that time was handled and being looked at was just obviously different to the way that it is now. We have more time to do things, and I really wanted to sit down and talk with awesome talent like you and just people in general like you. I understand this has changed your way of life professionally. I don't know if you had any plans to do wrestling over WrestleMania weekend, or if you were going to Florida, or was that something that you were planning before?
Yeah, I had a flight down to Florida. I was going to go down there.
Wow. And so when you heard about all the cancellations, what were your plans? Did you have any shows booked, or were you just going to go check it out?
Yeah, I was going to go and hopefully be in Effie's, this name is ridiculous, the Vicarious Battle Royal, Effie's show. But, other than that, not really anything. I was just going to go down and, spend the weekend in Florida. And that's
the whole point. It's even if you didn't have any shows booked, or you had one, or you had 10, the whole point was to just go down and network and meet with friends, work, have fun, and really take your career to the next level. So when you started hearing about all the cancellations, what did you start thinking? Were you thinking, oh, well, guess it's not going to happen? Or were you just still kind of hopeful? Or what was kind of running through your mind?
I was like, I'm not going to get my money back on this damn flight. I'm blown. Well, here's the thing. When it first started kind of happening, I was like, damn, I wish I had waited to book my flight, because flights are super cheap now. Mm-hmm. But then it just got to the point where that was completely out of the question. And it was like, okay, this is definitely just not happening at all.
And did you get a refund on your flight? How did the airline manage to help you out in that situation?
It was a really shitty airline that has the worst customer service. So I asked, and I should tweet about it, though. That seems to work for people.
I didn't realize how bad things had gotten until, as far as wrestling and dealing with the pandemic, until going on Twitter and seeing their responses to everything happening. And it was a domino effect, one after the other. I just saw a lot of wrestlers saying, I lost out on money. I don't think I'm going to work the weekend because it looks like everything's going to be canceled. And it was heartbreaking. A lot of people look forward to this weekend where they can elevate their careers and meet people and do what they love. It's sad. People have lost money. Shows have been canceled. And I've seen more than enough wrestlers saying, I'm bummed out because this could have been my big break. My personal opinion is that I don't think all is lost. I think this is just a chance to reset, regroup, train wherever you can. I know that places are closed. So if you can work out at home, that's an option. That's great. And hope for the best. Just look forward to the future.
Yeah, I feel like in a lot of ways, some of us not needed this, but this will give us a new perspective and a new appreciation for our daily lives, and seeing everybody on the weekend and being able to go to the gym whenever we want. I used to dread the gym. I used to dread working out.
Oh, really?
I would literally stab someone right now. I would probably stab a relative to get an hour and a half in the gym.
I'm assuming that people's perception, if you're an athlete, you like going to the gym. That's a part of your job. It's a huge part of your job. So it's refreshing to hear you say you don't like the gym.
Oh, no, I usually dread it all the time. But now that I've been reduced, and I have a little bit of equipment at home, and I've been doing home workouts, but there's nothing like going in there and just lifting a bunch of really heavy ass weight. You know what I mean?
You get your endorphins and you get everything out, and it's a great way for your mental health as well. Having said that, do you feel as though when you get back into the fray of things and shows start picking up again, that you're going to be rusty in a way, or do you think that it's not going to be that bad getting back to things?
I'm not really worried about coming back into the swing of things, really, because I have pretty close access to a wrestling school here locally, Totem Pro, that I can go in there and work with the guys that I mentioned earlier, AK, Nelson, Dustin, Banks, and kind of freshen up before those bookings really start, happening again. We just got to make sure the school opens up before the bookings start happening.
I've heard some folks having access to gyms still, and I guess it's different in each state because I know some states are much more strict on places that are open and times and everything like that. So I wasn't aware that that was something you could do, which is good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. I'm hoping that they open it up soon, but however long it takes, for them to feel safe. It's a place up in Dover.
Before everything just kind of shut down, it seemed like you had a lot going on. You had a lot of bookings. You were doing a lot of shows. What were your goals for the year and how you wanted it to pan out?
Well, I was really frustrated because the week that everything got canceled, more or less, when stuff really started being like, okay, we can't run shows, like legally we can't run shows. I was booked at MCW, and I'd been really starting to get on a roll at MCW, and that's one of the best promotions probably in the country. I love it there. Their production value, they're so professional. The team is so amazing there, and the wrestlers are so talented, and everyone, wrestles such smart matches, and the fans are amazing, and they pack shows. And then this happens, and I'm like,
it's tough because a lot of wrestlers, and not just wrestlers, promoters and gear designers and everyone working in the industry had all of these hopes for 2020. Things were really picking up, and I noticed starting even from 2019, there was a lot of progression happening, and all of a sudden everything stopped. It's hard not to think that this progression just could not pick up again. But I think, and you did touch on this earlier, I think if we come into a mindset getting back to where things started and picking things up again and really just not staying stagnant, we can continue that progression. And I don't know what your thoughts about that are in terms of the business itself. If you think that because of the time lost, the progression in a sense would be lost as a whole, or do you think that it's going to actually be better?
I think when people come back, I think the matches are going to be insane. I think people are going to be popping off with the craziest shit, and it's going to be unbelievable because we all have cabin fever right now.
Yeah.
Collectively going insane, and crazy people makes for great pro wrestling matches. So
this is so true. Absolutely.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely agree.
Shit, okay, it's going to be raking in the money with people diving off shit and going through shit. This is going to be unbelievable.
I agree. And how long have you been working in wrestling for?
Just hit 3 years. I think going on 4 years.
Oh, so it was right around the time that you started when we met?
Yeah, I was in Capitol pretty early. I was in Capitol, I want to say 6 months into my career, maybe.
For you, from what I've seen, you've progressed immensely. You've improved so much. So to hear that you've gone from Capitol now to MCW and you're working matches, that's amazing. And I just congratulate you because wrestling is not easy. There's so much that goes into it. I'm saying this as a non-wrestler. I see the sacrifice that's put into it, and it's just fantastic to see people progress and get better. And it's awesome what you've done.
That's really sweet. Thank you. Yeah, I used to suck. Now I suck less.
That's really it. That's the tea.
Real life, right?
That's real life, for real. We all have a starting point, and it's easy to hype ourselves up when we get to a certain point, but you have to remember where you come from. We didn't all start off great.
It's like they say in Bojack Horseman, the hokey pokey, the song, it's not all about the hokey pokey. It's all about turning yourself around. That's
Yes, I used to love that show. I haven't watched it.
It's so good. It's the best thing on television. If you want to start a Bojack conversation, who's your favorite character?
Probably Bojack.
He's a mess.
That's why.
Yeah, same.
That's why I love messy characters.
Yeah. I like Sarah Lynn. She's my favorite.
Oh, really? Oh, why am I not surprised by that?
Because I'm a mess.
It's all good. We're all a mess in different ways. We're all human. I think that that what we're going through now is just proving that we're all human beings. We all deal with things, and we all have a chance now to just self-reflect and slow down. As much as a lot of us don't want to, we have no choice. But, yeah. And I'm glad you brought up Bojack, because I wanted to talk about binging on Netflix and Hulu or whatever you have. Even though I've been productive, I've definitely had time to binge watch things, and I'm binging shows that I've already watched.
Same, but you got to do that. That's essential.
Right?
Couple on things, especially Bojack. Bojack's a great one, because like you look at like almost every frame of Bojack, and there's some ridiculous animal related bit going on in the background.
Right.
So funny.
Exactly. And I've been binging on, was it you that talked about watching Gossip Girl on Twitter?
I have watched through Gossip Girl before, yeah. I watched too. So my girlfriend in college made me watch. When it didn't make me watch, she encouraged me to watch, and we watched together. I think it kept my attention about up till halfway through the season that they went to Paris, and then I was like, okay, this is kind of done yet.
You're like, I'm done here.
Yeah, I was over it. And then I just looked up at the end, and spoiler alert, everybody turn it off if you haven't watched Gossip Girl yet. Dan is Gossip Girl. Whoa, what?
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm still mad about that. I'm still mad at Dan being Gossip Girl. I thought that was just nonsense, and they could have, no.
Do you like Dan?
I didn't dislike him. He wasn't my favorite character, but it added up to a certain degree, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, it made so much sense.
It did. It just wasn't as shocking. Why couldn't it have been Chuck?
Chuck's, man. Do you like Chuck? That's my next question. Do you like Chuck?
I do, though.
Everybody likes Chuck. I think he's such a scumbag.
He is. We really shouldn't like him, but...
You ladies love the bad boy.
Here we go. But it's the truth, though. I did not like Nate. I thought Nate was boring.
I didn't even remember who that was. Who's Nate?
There it is. There it is.
Look it up. Nate Gossip Girl.
There it is. Yeah.
Oh, this cornball. Yeah. He was super boring.
Oh, you had to look him up.
Yeah, he was might have been my least favorite character.
Yeah, just no flavor, just boring. Nope. And that's no offense to the actor at all. I think the actor.
No, the character. We're talking about the character for sure.
It just was boring. I mean, as far as the females, I don't think there's one female character that I disliked to a high degree. Even Serena, I didn't dislike her. I know at the time that it aired, a lot of people didn't like that character at all, but I didn't.
What do you think of Dan's dad, his rock star dad?
Cool. I like Dan's dad.
I thought he was so corny.
He's so corny.
He was
living his best life in Brooklyn. He didn't ask to be swept up into this Upper East Side war.
I don't know how I got swept up in watching this bullshit show, to be honest.
One of my guilty pleasures, I admit, I was all about those shows. When that was on, you had One Tree Hill. I was all about One Tree Hill.
Like Pretty Little Liars?
Yeah.
Of course you did. I never watched that, but I definitely know that it exists.
That was another show. The way it ended was, I'm sorry, Gossip Girl is one thing. The way that Pretty Little Liars ended, unforgivable, because you spend so many years of your life invested in these characters and the storyline, especially when it's a mystery thriller and the whole point is to figure out who did it. So when you get to that end point and it's not satisfying,
I feel like half of shows these days end poorly. Like literally half of shows that exist, people don't like the ending.
I would love to sit down with a writer in the future, or many writers of these shows, and just ask, do you already know how this is going to transpire, or do you guys just kind of figure it out as time goes on? Because you're right, you hear it for a ton of these shows.
Did you watch the Bojack series finale?
I didn't.
Oh, okay. You need to go watch. I don't know where you're at in Bojack, but season 6 came out, I think, a few months ago, whenever, November maybe. And yeah, you got to go watch that. It is honestly, the next to last episode has the scariest depiction of death that I've ever experienced in a work of fiction in my entire life. It's incredible.
Really?
It's an amazing episode, and not just for like animated like television, because I love cartoons so much from such a child.
Yeah.
Not just for animated shows, it's like across television. So such a good episode.
And you're talking to a Buffy fan. So in terms of depictions of death, I'm like, I gotta really see this now.
I've never seen a Buffy episode. You're gonna hate me.
What?
Yeah, I know.
I don't hate you, but you have to get started.
I know. I'm very uncultured.
It's one of my favorite shows of all time. Just the writing itself, awesome. And I know people are going to say, but it's supernatural. How good could it be? Trust me, it's the themes and the writing, the acting.
Oh, I love Supernatural. Supernatural's great for me. Not the show. I've never seen the show, but like supernatural elements and something. I'm such a nerd. I love that stuff.
No, same. Yeah, I have never seen that show either myself.
Right. Yeah, it never really struck my interest either.
I've been watching Paradise PD, which I just randomly...
Is that funny?
It is hilarious.
Really? Okay, you're the first person that told me it's good.
I'm the first person?
To tell me that it's good.
Oh, have people been saying they don't like it?
I have seen... I mean, it's like YouTube people. Like,
oh, it depends on your sense of humor. It depends, but it's hilarious to me.
All right, I'll check it out. I haven't watched Big Mouth either.
I watched the first season, and then I stopped, not because I didn't like it, but I just... Once again, time.
Well, you got it now.
Right? We all have is time now. Seriously. Have you been watching any wrestling on TV now or just watching clips on YouTube?
I think like this wrestling in front of like little to no fans, which I've done as an indie wrestler anyway. Mm-hmm. I think it's such like a bizarre performance art experience. So interesting. I find something about it just so interesting.
No, me too. And I like that you brought that up because I'm curious to know, as someone that's done that, what does it feel like? If you're a performer, you get a rush from having a crowd there. It just adds to the experience. So when there's no crowd, what is that feeling like?
Well, you also like structure your match a lot based on crowd reaction. So I will do certain things that we have planned out based on how the crowd is feeling about that, how the crowd is feeling about either of us. And I hear that and I'm like, okay, let's do this because they're going to like this or they're not going to like that, whatever we're going for at the time. So it's, it's weird. It's definitely weird. And it sucks because I'm like John Cena. I just yell my spots like really loud. So like everybody's hearing that.
That's one of the most controversial topics being talked about in wrestling today. What we're seeing on television now, there's no audience and everyone has their opinion. Some people are cool with it depending on how it's being shot from the camera perspective for us to consume. And then you have other people saying it's just a waste of time. I can't wait to see the numbers of how many people watch Wrestlemania this weekend. I think some people are legit dropping out from seeing it altogether because they can't handle the no audience aspect. It just doesn't seem as exciting to them. Are you going to watch Wrestlemania this weekend or are you kind of just not into it?
It's 2 days, right? It's today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll probably catch it at one point, maybe. I don't know. I've kind of been watching a lot of Sonic X and playing a lot of Sonic Adventure, so if I can fit somewhere in my Sonic schedule, I might be able to manage that.
Yes, and that's another thing, gaming. And look, as far as gaming, because I'm a gamer too. When I was a kid, I did a ton of gaming, and then I dropped off, and now I'm completely back into the mix. And it's funny because you have all these folks, especially gamers, who are just, pandemic, going back to my games.
Yeah, I was built for this, exactly.
Guess I'll game some more now.
Right, exactly.
The way that we're just consuming things is at an exponential rate. And I'm wondering how we're going to relate to each other when it's safe to get away from social distancing and get back into life as we knew it prior. I'm just curious to know what you think about that as well, not just in talking about wrestling, but life in general.
There's going to be a whole new appreciation for like seeing, your friends and just being with them every day or being at work or even like your paycheck. People are struggling with their jobs right now. So
you're fine though. You're working from home, you said?
I ended up getting furloughed yesterday. So go to my pro wrestling tees store and buy my t-shirts.
Please. And that's something that also we're talking about. Bookings is one thing and losing out on bookings. But when you're talking about a wrestler's livelihood, I mean, some wrestlers have shoot jobs and others, that's their main mode of gaining money is wrestling. So As a wrestler, do you even have any advice for fellow wrestlers on how to navigate that situation? Or are you I'm just doing the best I can with my situation? And
exactly. Yeah. I wish I necessarily knew what to do. I mean, like a lot of us had two sources of income, like we were making decent money selling merch and, plus our booking fee. And then also we had shoot jobs, not on the weekend. So now we have nothing. So I don't know. Let's all get OnlyFans or something.
That's popular too now.
Selling hog pictures that is always a market for that.
You're right.
Apparently I have a friend whose fiance, she makes a lot of money on OnlyFans. And he said apparently that their business is better than ever because people are just cooped up in the house. I was like, you know what? That makes sense.
I've heard of OnlyFans. I haven't used it. What are people selling? You can be as candid as you can. It's quite okay.
I've never used it either. I just know it is how you sell nudes.
So it's either pictures or videos.
Yeah. So actually, I've had it explained to me. Let me see if I can remember how it was.
Okay.
Explained. So you got it's like a Patreon. So someone would subscribe to someone's OnlyFans and they'd get X amount of content. Plus there's microtransactions for other stuff. So yeah, I don't know what the pay per se looks like, the pay structure or anything. Cause like I said, I've never done it or been on there, but yeah, it's kind of like premium Snapchat with microtransactions.
That sounds so ahead of the curve.
I was just going to say modern. That was going to be the word that I was going to use. Yeah.
Are you into any conspiracy theories? Because, those are always going to be.
I love conspiracy theory. I don't think any of them are true, but I find them so interesting. Like Alex Jones.
Oh,
complete scumbag. I get it. I get why everybody hates him. I love him, adore him. I think he is so funny.
Because I'm like, who can I talk to about Alex Jones? Is anyone else?
Me. Anytime you want to talk Alex Jones, I tweet about it from time to time. The other day I said, I wonder what Alex Jones thinks about this coronavirus stuff. And somebody tweeted back in 5 seconds. They're like, actually, he's been trying to sell this skin cream that he says prevents it.
I heard about him 4 years ago during election time. That's how I came to know who Alex Jones really was. And he used to be a wrestler. From what I understand, it was either bodybuilding or wrestling, but he was one of the
I think he was a bodybuilder.
Okay, I think he's into wrestling. That's what he is. And he was a bodybuilder.
He seems like he'd be great at wrestling.
An amazing manager.
Yeah, I want him to manage me. I'm gonna kick Dustin out of the boys, and I'm gonna get Poor Dustin.
You've been warned.
Dustin, you've been furloughed. Alex Jones, you're hired.
That would be sick. Can you imagine? I could see that.
You're going against the boys. You're nothing but a false flag. A known false flag. Everybody knows it.
These conspiracy theories are off the meter to the point where if you go back on social media, people are now talking about 5G.
I know. That's what, oh my God. Isn't that shit insane? He was talking about that. What was that, 2 years ago?
Yeah. And that's why, to me, a lot of this feels like deja vu. I'm thinking I could have sworn I heard about this whole 5G conspiracy 2 or 3 years ago, and now it's back. But in the mainstream, I know this is a cliched term now, but we really do live in interesting times.
For sure, I would say so.
You're not from Delaware, right, Killian?
I'm from Maryland originally.
You're from Maryland. Oh, okay. Would you ever go back to Maryland now that you have your ins with NCW? Is that something you're thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, probably. I'm pretty close to Maryland right now, being in Delaware, so it's not really that much different.
Where else are you hoping to go to besides MCW? Do you have any other promotions that you'd love to work for?
I'd love to go back up to Canada. That's always a blast, working up there. I love the fans up there. They're so appreciative of, every style and, every wrestler. They're amazing. I love Canadian fans. California would be really cool, maybe. But, it's hard to set goals like that. At the end of the day, it's about who wants you. All I can do is make them want me.
Thank you for bringing that up. Maybe you want to explain the actual process of kind of selling yourself to different promotions. How has it exactly worked for you?
Well, it's always a case-by-case thing. It's the same as how you would get booked on a show. You know what I mean? It could happen any kind of way. you coming to a show or you knowing people that are starting a promotion, all kinds of things could happen.
I would love to work in Canada too. That's literally on my vision board that I'm looking at. Yeah, because they have some really interesting promotions like Smash Wrestling and
Smash. Greektown was a blast when I worked there. LDDC up in Montreal at Bar 99. That is such a fun promotion. Yeah. What was the question? Were we just naming cool places in Canada?
Yeah. We're putting it out into the universe too for promoters in Canada. Should you listen to this is where we want to work. Every time I go to Canada, it's just a breath of fresh air. People are really chill.
Yeah, people are so funny up there.
Their sense of humor is great. I've never had a bad experience in Canada, knock on wood, just never. California too has been on my radar. And I had this conversation with one of my friends yesterday. We were talking about the scene in California, especially Northern California, because folks automatically just think LA, but the scene is all encompassing of
the whole Northwest. I mean, you think about promotions like 3-2-1 Battle.
Yeah, there's a lot going on up there too, and don't just think it's just Hollywood or LA. There's just so much happening.
Or as they call it in Bojack, Hollywood.
Exactly. Hollywood. Exactly.
That stole the D.
Well, Hollywood itself, and have you ever been to California?
Yeah, I went there on vacation a few times. It's a little...
Yeah, so it's not, what we see on TV is not what Hollywood is.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Especially how it looks. It's not all glitz and glamour, and that's with any place.
Don't get me started on New York City. People like me up there. I don't want to...
They're going through it. New York, it's...
Yeah, honestly, it's so scary.
It is. I used to live there. I have friends and family in New York, New Jersey. I'm just wishing for the best and hoping that things will just alleviate soon. For some reason, Jersey is just also very badly afflicted. I don't know if it's population density or... Yeah,
for sure. It definitely is population density. Things will improve. Things will get better.
They will. I have absolutely...
And we'll look at this and be like, hey, you guys remember that crazy COVID-19 scare?
And that's exactly what's going to happen.
I'm glad we were able to do this interview this year,
Me too. I think it was destined and it had to happen this year. In some way, it's a reunion, even though we can't see each other.
No.
But it's a nice reunion to kind of just look back and think how far things have come for both of us.
Absolutely. Yeah, you've been killing it just as much as I have. You've been all over the place too.
Thank you. It's just been a crazy ride. I never would have thought that I would have been in wrestling 3-4 years ago. Never. It was never on my career path at all. But I love it. I really love it. I wouldn't change anything. I'm grateful. I'm so excited for the future.
The journey's just started.
It really has. This is the new chapter. Thank you so much, Killian. Once again, this was awesome. So now I know I can talk to you about Alex Jones.
Absolutely. You can talk to me about Alex Jones. Everyone talk to me about Alex Jones, Joe Rogan.
And animation and gaming. This is great.
Sure.
This is great. So before we part ways, please plug all of your socials, everything that you want people to check out, and that'll be it.
By the time this is done, my Pro Wrestling Tees store will be set up, and it'll have a bunch of designs on there, every shirt I've ever had, including a bunch of cool alternate designs that we're putting out. Pro Wrestling Tees, just search Killian McMurphy. I think the URL is Killian McMurphy, all one word. At the Shooter KM on Twitter, at Killian McMurphy on Instagram. If you liked hearing my voice on this and you like video games, you like our little nerdy chat about that, go listen to Arrows to the Knee, the one, the only #DovaCast, where we talk everything Elder Scrolls and what's going on with Bethesda. We should have a couple new episodes coming out soon, so that'll be a blast. And I think that's it.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Please subscribe on the link for my YouTube channel. Please, if you happen to see Killian on social media, add him, buy his merch. People are going through a rough time, so if you have some cash to spare, please do buy his merch to support. And if you're interested in seeing him live in the ring when we are lifted from these restrictions, do check him out. Be safe, be healthy. Thank you, Killian. And until next time, we will talk later.
Ew.